Have a seat, press repeat. Here's another Nerds and Words podcast. Hello, everybody. It's your
Grab your
boy Willie
drinks,
Chonka.
grab your popcorn, whatever you do, get your chores done, sit down and enjoy the episode.
Yeah, put the kids outside and
Put
just,
them outside, put the dog to bed, and then
yeah.
Wait, no, that's you know what to do. You got it.
yeah.
Do the thing.
Kevin, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing all right, bro. How you doing?
Adulting. So
We're adulting.
take that as you will.
Absolutely.
Kevin, before we start, before you give us the question of the week and the word of the week, I have good news.
We have some good news, folks. Let's hear it.
We got great news, man. On Spotify, we finally eclipsed 100 plays. We are now at 106. Confetti everywhere.
Confetti. I'm gonna put something on the screen.
Confetti. Yeah, that's fine. I've been tracking it. I've been watching it, just making. I was like, come on, hit 100, hit 100, and it hit 99. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed. And then I woke up and it said 106, and I was like, crap.
Wait, it went from
So
99 to 106.
yeah, from the
Dang.
time I went to sleep to the time I woke up, it was like, we're gonna just pass that. You're just gonna miss it all together. So I'm not mad about it, but
That's awesome. That's great.
so now we just got to hit 500 and then 1,000, and then we'll just keep going from there.
Heck yeah. We're on our road to 500 plays
Yeah,
on Spotify. Get to listening, folks. You got homework to do, okay?
yeah.
God.
Because I can only so what if 50 of those were from me? Okay,
I
I'm
listen
not
to us
bragging.
because I'll be honest, we're funny.
I know Kevin called me the other day when he was listening to it. He's like, "Bro, you know how funny we are?" I'm like, "I know, but I don't." But I'm
Dude.
gonna take your word for it.
No, I was riding down the road and I was like, I hadn't listened to this week's episode. I just want to listen to it, see if hear anything that catches me off guard from my own mouth. And sure enough, a few times I was like, I said that?
I say that during the podcast.
What happens on the podcast stays on the podcast because your boy's a lazy editor. I don't know what to tell you.
That's fair. All right, let's get in. What's the word of the week, Kevin?
All right, yeah. So I'm actually really excited about this. So back when we started this podcast, it was my idea to start the podcast, and one of the reasons was because I kept watching these stupid podcasters, and they were always talking about conspiracy theories, or the word of the week is conspiracy. But the it always is like you'll get a clip on TikTok, and it'll be one of those ones like, oh, come back in the video too to find out what happens or whatever. But uh you can go down the rabbit hole, but I've been obsessed with conspiracy theories for a long time, many years now. They're just interesting to me, and they're very, I don't know, it leaves a lot of room for debate, stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's just interesting to me for sure.
it's definitely one of those topics that you can expand your thinking because what you say might sound crazy, but I mean that's
Mhm.
kind of the whole point.
Yeah, I mean and sometimes when like if I'm having an argument with somebody on the conspiracy theory, and they're like, they say something, and then I'm like, I like to play devil's advocate a lot in conspiracy theories too, because like you never know. I'm nothing would surprise me just about anymore.
I
After living
I
through COVID,
agree.
you lived through 3 years of COVID, and now you're like, you know what? I don't even.
Yeah.
I wouldn't surprise me if 9/11 was an inside job.
Kevin just hits batting 1,000 right out of the gate. 9/11
Yeah, but
was
I'm
an
not even.
inside
That's
job.
not even one of mine. That's not even one of mine for today. I decided to skip the big ones
Yeah,
because I mean,
I tried not to find too many that was like oversaturated. I kind of tried to find at least little ones that weren't, as discussed, so that way we could just talk about it more, and it's not the same thing that people have heard over and over again.
exactly. Yeah, I like that. And I think I did. A couple of mine, I'm like, they've definitely been talked about before, but it's fine. And one of mine, I just found super interesting and intriguing because I found some stuff about it that people have heard that been debunked, and I found some stuff that's still factual and just doesn't make any sense. So it's interesting. But before we get into our conspiracy theories we're going to discuss, we have a question of the week. So the question this
Yeah.
week is not about jazz hands.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
apologize to the
That was
listeners. I'm sorry, guys.
yeah, I took a poll on Spotify, and it was, should Kevin come up with better questions? And both answers were yes. So
Well,
I'm
that's
proud of
fine.
you for taking the
Thanks,
constructive
listeners,
criticism.
for your support of my creativity. I really thought the jazz hands question was a classic, but I guess not. Next question.
It's classically
It's
bad, yes.
shut up. Listen, question of the week. Have you ever witnessed or experienced something that could not be explained?
Congress.
Yeah, that's not what I
Uh,
meant, but you right, you right.
no, I actually have an answer for that, but that was too good to pass up. Just anything in general anymore. Just gestures vaguely. You see it, Kevin. I can't explain any of it anymore. Kevin, I have an incident. Never told anybody about this incident. So you and the
Is it
world are
real?
about to find out my biggest secret.
Oh boy, is it real or are you joshing right now?
I'm joshing about the seriousness, but this did actually happen, and I haven't really told a lot of people because it makes me sound crazy.
Okay, bring it on.
All right, so you remember Evan? I used to live with Evan back in college. We had
Okay.
this big white house. There was like 5 of us living in here because it was like a 5-bedroom house.
All right.
And the room that I moved into had what had a closet that they deemed the demon closet because one, nobody used it because it's the day that everybody moved in, they opened up this closet and there was just a one-eyed headless baby doll, and like it was just the head, and there was like a pair of tattered kids shoes and stuff like that, and they were like, nah, I'm good, just never opening that ever. And so they just left it closed. Well, your boy doesn't do smart things sometimes. I didn't leave it closed. I opened it up. I wanted to see what was in there. And realistically, it was just an access panel to like one part of the roof, and uh, you could store stuff in there. Like it had floor panels and stuff. However, I always kept it closed because when I kept it open, I could hear footsteps, and not like man footsteps, not like big burly, full-grown people. It was kids' footsteps. Because in this little closet was actually inside the main closet of the room, and I got a cat when I was living there, and he was a kitten, so he was rambunctious. He was exploring and stuff. One day he got into the demon closet and was like running around, and I was sitting at the entrance. I remember this vaguely because you could see all the way, like when you put your head in, you could see all the way to the end of the roof where you had access to, and it was
Hmm.
probably a good 30 feet. Well, when I put my head in, I could see him. He was all the way at the end, and there was like the little beams that was holding up the roof. I remember I hollered at him and I told him, I was like, "Come here, Prime." And he went to the right. He went behind a beam. Not even 1 second passed and he was in front of me. He came from behind another beam and he was right in front of me. He teleported. I remember I was like, "Nope. Nope. Mm-mm." I snatched him up by his collar. I threw him into the room. I closed up that door and it was never to be opened again
You didn't have
because
more than one cat that looked
at
the
that point,
same?
no. 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 I only
That's
had the one cat.
crazy. How
Br
far is this distance?
So where he was probably about 30 feet from where I was at. But when
And
he
you're saying in a
reappeared,
second, 30 feet.
yes, and when he reappeared, he was within arm's reach. Because I was like, nope. I reached in and grabbed him. I was like, we ain't playing this game today. and I
Eh,
never opened the demon closet again.
That's crazy. Okay, I like that one. I like that. That's
Yeah, I
yeah,
was like,
that's
cool. There's a
scary.
wormhole, but yeah, no, I was like, I'm cool with paranormal stuff. Like I find that stuff kind of fascinating. But then when you see something like that, you're like, nah, nope, dipping. I've seen too many movies where the curiosity will kill the cat's owner, not just
Mm.
the cat, because he's fine apparently. But so yeah, that's my thing. I never told my housemates because they well, I just moved in there and I didn't want them thinking I was the crazy guy, so I just kept it to myself.
There's a lot of
So
things
Evan, if
you.
you're listening, there was a wormhole in the house we lived in.
That's so crazy. Of all the scientific things that are not happening yet that are possible, teleportation is not really one of them.
Nope.
So,
No,
so
I
that's
was
the thing.
so I was like, it's either a demon hole or my cat is a superhero, and frankly, I mean, either one was kind of terrifying to think about.
No, I get that. So I was torn for mine. I was torn. I have a story that I wanted to tell that was a technological thing that happened that was insane, but I realized that's not going to appeal to as many people. Um, like no, don't get me wrong. I feel like even if I explained it, I'm not calling the people dumb. I feel like they get it, but like it's not going to be as, oh, that's crazy. It's just easy to dismiss the craziness of it
Uh,
because they can be like, oh, that's just happened. How computers act sometimes. It's not.
it's
It's not how they act.
so it's one of those stories that you kind of have to have a different layer of knowledge to kind of understand.
To appreciate. Now I could explain it to somebody who knows nothing about technology and they'd still understand that, oh wow, that's kind of crazy, but like it's the level at how crazy it is would not really click for everyone the same. And so I'm going to go with this other story instead, but I'll save that one for another day. I'll save that one for
Okay.
another day. But the one I am going to tell you is actually involved you. Um
Oh.
um so back when I was married and lived in a 100-year-old house, uh now you can at this point reveal to me if you were lying, which would make me feel so much better because this has haunted me. Because honestly, I acted like, oh yeah, you're just crazy, bro. Scared me because I still lived at the house, okay? But because my
So what you're saying is I need to verify or deny
verify or
what's
deny if
happened
this
with.
happened, because when you
Okay.
told me, I can 100% confirm that I was not there. So basically, you got to know in the house at the time, it was a 3-bedroom house. You had 2 bedrooms upstairs and 1 bedroom downstairs, and the bedroom upstairs, 2 bedrooms upstairs. When we didn't have any kids, so it was just us. So we each had a room to ourselves. Basically, like I had a man cave, and she had a whatever you call the woman version of a man cave, kind of like our hobby room or whatever you want to call it. So in my hobby room, there was no door handle on my door. Okay, you had to push it and pull it open and close like with the hole where the door handle would go because
Mhm.
the carpet
I
was
remember
kind of
that.
compressed at that spot. So it had a pressure point. So that door was not opening without extreme pressure. And the only animals we had that were loose in the house were cats. We had 5 cats. And there was no way those cats could open that door. It just wasn't going to happen. This is not a thing unless those cats suddenly became the Hulk, a cat Hulk or something. It's not wasn't happening, okay?
Throwing
And
around weight.
my buddy Chase here and his wife, they weren't married at the time, but I think it was actually the time they came, and I believe it was when they got engaged. They came to visit and they came to stay at our house, and they were staying in the room, her room upstairs, my wife's room upstairs, her hobby room, and I was my computer and my desk and everything was in my hobby room upstairs. So I guess they thought I was in there because they came downstairs the next morning. We're like, man, you were typing away last night on the computer. I said, when was this? And they were like, it was like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, bro, I went to bed at 11 o'clock last night. Or maybe, no, it may have been 10 o'clock. It was hours before they had said. So probably about 10 o'clock. I went to bed at 10 o'clock last night. That was not me. He's like, well, someone was typing away in there. Did you let a cat in there? I said, no, there's never cats in that room ever. And if they were, they'd be murdered. Uh, so to this day, if you were lying, then great. But if you're telling the truth, that still scares me a little bit because there was no way for anything to get in that room. That door was closed, sealed closed. And with extreme pressure, cats weren't getting in. And that's the only animals we had. We had a dog, but he stayed in a cage, so I know it wasn't him. And that's it. I was in bed. There was nobody typing on that keyboard. I actually still have the same keyboard. It's a mechanical keyboard, so it's really loud. You can hear it when somebody's typing on it.
Yeah.
Did you actually hear that typing that night, or was that something that?
I did because it was. I remember how you had it set up too. Like when you walked into your hobby room, you had the TV on the right on the wall, then you had your couch, and then directly across from the door, you had your computer screen and your whole desk set up and everything.
Right.
I remember specifically because I was kind of curious what you were talking about, but as soon as you said keyboard, I knew it. I went downstairs. It was a day that me and Kathy had been running around, and we were just both exhausted. And normally on vacation, I'm staying up till like 4 o'clock in the morning. I ain't got nothing else to do. It's fine. No, I was tired. I remember we fell asleep, and I woke up and went downstairs to use your bathroom because that was where the bathroom was. You had to go downstairs
Yeah.
through
I had
the
a bathroom upstairs, but it was
foyer.
like under construction, so no
Yeah, and I
functional.
didn't think you wanted me using that. But I didn't hear anything when I went down. Now when I came back up, the way your stairs were, the stairs were almost lined up with your door.
Yeah, it
And
lined
I
up perfectly.
remember,
Like as you came up the stairs, the door was right there. Yeah.
yeah, you could just walk straight in. I remember seeing light from your computer screen. Like I could see it underneath like the door, I could see it around the door frame. And I was like, "Oh, Kevin must be in there." And I remember specifically, I could hear your keyboard just typing away like you were working on a novel. And I was going to stop and say something to you, but I was like, I'm tired, and
I
I
wish
know
to
how me and
God
Kevin
you
are.
had. I wish to God you had.
Because I was
I
like,
want to know what was happening.
I know how me and you are. So like, I'm tired, but I'm gonna stay up and talk to you because
Yeah,
we
we
hadn't
would get
seen
to
each other in a
talking and we
while.
just sit there and play cards somehow, probably.
Yep. And then it'd been 4 o'clock in the morning, but no. So I was like, I'll talk to him in the morning. I'll tell him, hey, I saw him, or I heard him in his room. And I remember coming downstairs the next day, and I was like, "Boy, you was up there just." I said I was gonna say something, but I was tired, and you're like, "I wasn't up there." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, you were, Kevin," and you're like, "No, I was not." And I was just like, "Okay, Kevin, sure."
I
And then
kind of
as I turn
laughed it
around, I'm
off.
like,
I kind of laughed it off when it happened because you told me and I was like, "Oh, that's so crazy!" Ah. Like my wife at the time, she believed in all that stuff. And the house, like I said, is over 100 years old, and she says she's heard stuff and seen stuff in the house before. So I don't know. I never heard or seen anything, so I never had any reason to believe of anything like a haunted house of the sort. Nothing like that. But when he told me that, and I was like, "Yo," I was like, but like for a few days, for a few days, I was just sitting there at work like, what could possibly, what
I
could
remember
possibly
though
have that been that?
because when you're like, "That wasn't me," I was like, "Okay, sure, Kevin." I turned in my eyes. I remember like looking away from him. I was like, "Oh, there was something in that room. I know for a fact." And so now, just to think about it, both of us just turned away from each other at the same time, going, What was in that room, man?" Well,
Dude,
I don't know what
what's
was.
even crazier is because you
Kevin.
told me the computer was on, and so I'm like, oh, well, if the computer was on, then surely it's still on, because I hadn't been up there. So I go up there
Yeah,
I remember going up there after you said that, computer shut down, and at the time, like I said, this house was over 100 years old, so the outlets in the house were two-prong outlets. It wasn't even up to code. There was no three-prong outlets, so I had like a three-prong adapter, but I didn't trust it. So I would like there's a switch on the back of the PC, right? I would flip that switch to hard shut everything down back when I lived there because you never know. And I actually had this happen before I started doing that. I went on vacation, came back, and then my PC had gotten fried. My hard drive did specifically. So I lost all that data I had, which really was, I mean, maybe some few pictures or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Lost it. So I started shutting it down. So I know for a fact the computer was shut down because that switch was still turned off. That means no power was getting to the PC. So if someone had broken into the house and gone up there somehow, gotten past all of us, there was 4 people in the house, 5 cats, and a dog that definitely would have whined and yelped if he seen or heard something that wasn't there normally. And so got past all of that, got upstairs, and turned the computer on and was typing away for some reason, which means he would have had to have my password to get on the
He's just up.
computer.
He's just up there sending a bunch of emails to people, be like, "I hate you. I hope somebody poops on your front porch." And you're
It's crazy to think about because I'm like, dude, like that's to this day, nothing explains that. Because I was thinking, I was like, is it possible that something fell and hit the keyboard? But if it was a consistent typing, even that doesn't explain that. Like there's no, and you saw light from the computer, so I'm like, dude, what? Nothing explains that.
no. And to the to this day, I'm looking back at it now, and I'm just kind of surprised how nonchalant. I was like, "Nah, what's whatever. I'll talk to Kevin tomorrow." And I went back to bed and
The
thought nothing of
question
it.
is, if to think like, what do you think would have happened if you had opened the door? Because, like I said, folks, there's no door handle, so what he saw through was probably a door hole, like big enough that your finger can fit through to pull the door open and close. That's how I opened and closed the door, was like with my finger pulling it, and so there's not much that he could see through that, I guess, and he saw light. So
Yeah.
if you had opened the door, if you had just pushed it open to like be like, hey man, or whatever you had done, like what would have happened? Would everything have shut off, or like would it have still been
Just
going?
listen. If I would have opened the door and you weren't there, but I heard what I heard, you best believe I'd be knocking on your door, be like, "Hey, Kevin, your house is haunted."
Would y'all
Kevin,
have left? Would y'all have left?
no, probably not. But
You were like, bro, we staying there for free. We ain't going to the hotel.
I will admit that the AC probably would have had, or the hotel would have had
Dude,
AC since somebody wouldn't.
we're not even gonna get into that discussion, folks. I owe my man here an apology for how I did him that week.
It was 97 in that room.
In my defense, bro, I was having a bad time I was fighting a lot that week, so it
You
was
were.
just bad. For me mentally it was bad, so oh
I'll
my god.
never forget that.
Dude.
Like, Kevin, can I just have the AC unit out of your? You're like, nah, man, yeah, I can't do
Nah,
that.
it's too much, bro. It's too much.
I told
Okay.
Kathy, I said, we're gonna go in there and just sleep in his friggin' hobby room, see what he thinks about.
Ah, dude, I apologize. I really do. But
Nah,
so
you're
anyway,
good, man.
viewers, that's our crazy
That's our.
unexplained event.
Oh shoot, that's good.
So back to the word, I guess, the conspiracy theories. So you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
No, I can go first.
Go for it. What you got for your number one?
All right, my number one is. It's not technically. I mean, it is a conspiracy theory, but it's one that knows that it's not real. It's just making fun of other conspiracy theories,
Okay.
and it's the one that birds aren't real. They're just drones of the government.
Now, is this one you don't believe this, right?
No, 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 no. I don't believe this. But when I was doing some research on my other ones, I came across this, and I was like, this one has piqued my interest so much, like just in its existence, because I was like, how can people not think birds are just fake? Like I get, yeah, the government's gonna try to do everything they can to know what you're doing, but you have a cell
Yeah,
phone. They don't need birds.
it's true.
Like they got traffic cameras. So it's
Yeah,
just
thanks
like,
to our
and so
man Snowden, we know this.
and so I was like, what started this? And it turns out it was two guys doing a social experiment to show how misinformation can spread like wildfire. And
Yeah.
so they posted flyers saying that they're having a protest and they're having rallies and stuff like that to say that birds are not real and that the government needs to just go ahead and release that information. And like there's like a lot of the people, I would say a good 95% of the people that were in on it, like they knew that these guys weren't being serious. But then you just have the people that's like walking through the street, they're like, yeah, no, I hate birds. Birds ain't real, yeah. And then they got picket signs and everything, and you're just like, what's going on? And so it
Hmm.
like turned into this massive thing that, birds are just drones, even though there's no evidence other than just people saying, well, I think they're drones. I think they're just made by the government to keep an eye on us, and I don't think that at all because I love birds, except for when they get stuck in Walmart, because then I feel bad for them.
I'm always in awe when I see a hawk. I've seen eagles before, and I've seen big bird owls, and many big birds. But a hawk, for some reason, is just so majestic to me. Especially when I see them like dart down into a field to grab something, and you see them come up with
Yeah.
like a full blown rabbit.
Yeah, you're like, dang, that's some speed.
I've seen one try to grab a child once. That was interesting.
What are the birds? In
It
the
was like
Lord
a
of the Rings.
toddler. It was a toddler sitting on the ground, and I didn't see it like in person. It was on video, but it was like a home video. Someone had taken the bird had swooped down and tried to grab the back of the coat of this kid sitting on it. It was crazy. Obviously, he couldn't pick it up. It was probably too heavy, I would assume, but it
That's like
gave it a good effort.
That's like the opposite of the stork.
They were hoping birds weren't real at that point.
The stork brings you a baby, and then the hawk takes one.
The stork brings, but the hawk takes.
But yeah, I think that one was kind of one that piqued my interest, because once I found out that it wasn't filled with a bunch of people that's never done any research of their own, and it
Yeah,
was just a social experiment,
I remember
it made me
the
laugh
TikTok,
because of how the TikTok.
the one where the guy was like, birds aren't real. The birds work for the bourgeoisie. Back in 88 or 87 or whatever,
Yeah.
Reagan killed all the birds and replaced them with spies or whatever it said.
I mean, Reagan did a lot of things, but I don't think killing all the
I don't think
birds and replacing them was
I don't
one
think
of
that's
them.
yeah, dude.
What's your number one,
I
Kevin?
so my number one. So here's the thing. I don't know what this conspiracy theory is actually pointing to. It's just pointing out a anomaly or a thing that doesn't make sense, and I don't know what it means. If it's not that these things aren't real, they are. It's that it's just too much of a coincidence is basically what it is. So we're talking about President Lincoln and President Kennedy. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to give you some
Oh,
facts. You've
I know
seen
what
this,
you're
right?
talking about.
You've
Yes,
seen
but
this,
go,
right?
because I love hearing this.
It's so crazy. So actually, some of the things that you probably seen in the original posting or video or whatever that came out about it are not real, but a lot of them are. But there's a couple that aren't, and I'll point those out. Okay, so Lincoln and Kennedy were both elected to Congress in 46. Lincoln in 1846 and Kennedy in 1946. Okay, they were both elected to presidency in 60. That's 1860 and 1960. Both have 7 letters in their name. That's kind of a small detail, but it is relevant. Both were concerned with civil rights. Okay. Both were married in their 30s to women that were in their 20s. Okay. Both were shot on a Friday. Both were shot in the head. Okay. Both had successors that were named Johnson.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. And both of those successors were Southerners.
Yeah, they
Okay.
were.
Both of their successors were born in 08. That's 1808 and 1908, respectively. Now, here's a one. Both of their assassins are known by their full 3 names. The reason this is so out of the ordinary is because usually someone like that is usually known by just their first name or first and last, usually to keep negative connotation off of other people with the same name.
Yeah.
But specifically, both of those assassins, being Lee Harvey Oswald and John Wilkes Booth, are known by their full 3 names. And both of those assassins' names contain exactly 15 letters. So one of the things that I saw originally when I saw this that is not true is that Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln, but Lincoln did not have a secretary named Kennedy. So that's not true. But Kennedy did have a secretary named Lincoln. And another thing I think is true but wasn't 100% confirmed is that, I think this part is confirmed that Lee Harvey Oswald and John Wilkes Booth are both killed before their trials. But now all these things are little details that don't really matter, but there's like too many things that line up exactly. Just one too many things for me to be like, okay, is this a coincidence? Is this like a See, when you think about the years for election, those things kind of make sense because we have a 4-year system. And there's elections every 4 years, so like it makes sense that it would kind of fall in suit on the same years. But everything else, man, it's just like what?
Yeah, that like I believe in coincidences. Obviously, I mean it's just
Of
part of
course,
the simulation that we live in, which is
the
another
Matrix.
conspiracy.
Yeah.
um, but I mean, I don't know if that's just some really good RNG where everything just kind of lines up, but um, I don't think that's I
It's
I
not
have
that
a I
far
have a
out there.
it's really not like I could see it happening
But like
'cause
it's
they're
just
both
it's
very. Go ahead.
with the tragedies also like the way they lined up and they were both assassinated and they were both killed the same way similarly. One was in a theater, one was in uh a warehouse. One was from a warehouse, and then what's funny is I think John Wilkes Booth supposedly killed him in a theater and then ran and hid in a warehouse, and I think Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy from a warehouse and then ran and hid in a theater.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things they didn't say was not true, but I don't think it can be confirmed 100%.
I don't think so either. Um, there was another one that was it like he was killed like Lincoln was killed in a Ford theater, but Kennedy was killed in a Ford, something like that.
Yeah. I think there's just too many. It's not that it's any one of these things individually, not a big deal at all. Like, oh, they both had Johnsons as successors. Oh, they were both Southerners, or they were both born in '08. Like, none of these things matter, like, individually. But when you combine them all, it kind of paints a picture like, dang, they had a lot of things lined up.
They did, and like I'm doing a little bit of um confirming here. But eh, what but yeah, like okay, so yeah, Abraham Lincoln was killed in Ford's theater, right? The car that Kennedy was shot in was a 1961 Ford Lincoln.
Like, it doesn't make sense, bro. There's just too many things.
And here's
Too
another
many.
thing: the car he was killed in was convertible, so much like his car, he could take his top off too, because he was
Dude,
shot in the head.
yeah. Okay. Dude,
Too
it's
soon?
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
It's not too soon. I mean, it's been a while. I'm just saying, like, it's just it doesn't it for me. I don't think this points to any single conspiracy theory. I think this is just like I think this, if anything, it points to the Matrix conspiracy. Like, there's too many coincidences for it to make sense.
So what you're saying is Abraham Lincoln just respawned and got a new skin. So
Yep.
he's just playing as somebody else.
Yes. To his
Hey,
surprise.
listen, I think well, I mean, I think time is secular anyway. I don't think it's linear, so we're all just living in a big time loop. But that's
Okay.
crazy. Like all that stuff matches up. No.
It is kind of
Yeah,
insane.
we're not meant to know this, Kevin. They're going to take our podcast now. Even though this was on the internet way before our podcast, but we won't talk about
Yeah.
that part.
All right. Well, what's your number two?
Um, it started off as a conspiracy. Like it was more what's the word I'm looking for? Propaganda
Mm-hmm.
against video games. Even though there's plenty of studies that show that this is not true, but that video games make us violent.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't. I never agreed with this. I think. I mean, I definitely. I mean, Kevin. I'm sure that you yourself have gotten upset playing video games.
Of course.
Exactly.
Now, okay, if you're just gonna
But
say if it makes me violent, like I throw my controller, yeah, that's happened.
but do you die in GTA and you're just like, you know what? I just need to go run over some pedestrians to get all my anger out.
Here's what I'll say. No, I'm just playing. No, obviously I've never wanted to do that, but I will say that I do have what I think is more common to say, intrusive thoughts. I do have more of those from video games, and I think if a line is to be attached between video games and violence, I think that is the line that some people quite literally cannot say no to intrusive thoughts. Because, for example, I've played Grand Theft Auto a lot. And if you're riding down the road in your car in Grand Theft Auto and you see one of those trucks that's like basically got a ramp on the back of it, you're gonna jump it. It's gonna happen, and it's dope. But in real life, I'm going down I-85, going like 75 miles an hour, and I see one of those trucks. I suddenly have the intrusive thought, "Oh, I should jump that." And then I
Like, I
realize,
can
"Oh,
totally
no,
make that.
I'm not playing a video game right now. I'm driving 75 miles an hour. I'll probably die, and if not, I'll go to prison."
And if not, I'll go to prison. I mean, I'm so okay. So you don't think they make us violent? They just give us intrusive thoughts.
I think that honestly, I think that's true. I've never, now mind you, I've never had a bad intrusive thought where it's like I'll play a shooter and then like have the intrusive thought to shoot people. I don't think that doesn't make any sense to me. Like I can play Call of Duty all day long. I don't ever have the desire to go shoot anyone. That's not something I don't think that's legit. I think that uh and especially nowadays. Now back in the day when you're playing like 8-bit video games used to be just like an arcade game was kind of like your best case scenario. But
Listen,
now they give you the ability to live out entire new worlds. It's kind of cool.
listen. 8-bit video games are so much harder
They are.
than regular games.
I'm looking
Like
at
the number
you,
of times
Spider-Man
I've
and Maximum
thrown
Carnage. That's not even 8-bit.
the number of times I've thrown my Nokia trying to beat Snake is just.
Okay, are we really going back to Snake on the Nokia?
Have you ever played Snake, Kevin?
Yes, I've played Snake. I
Have
know
you
that
ever
we've
beat it,
already
Kevin?
covered this. It's the best or whatever, but
Have you ever beat it, Kevin?
no, I've never beat Snake.
No, exactly. Nobody wins Snake. Okay. And you
Okay.
go into that game knowing you're not going to win, but you're still mad about it.
Okay.
But I will agree though. I've had plenty of intrusive thoughts where, like, I'll be sitting somewhere and I'll be bored and I'm like, oh well, where's all the exits? What am I gonna do if somebody walks in and they're like, I'm gonna punch somebody in the face? Am I gonna run? Or do
Well,
I
that's
hit?
just like
No,
coming up with fun scenarios. That's fun. Like, who hasn't thought out a zombie apocalypse scenario? Like, what would I do if a zombie apocalypse happened? I got a plan.
I do it. I do it daily.
I'm
You have a plan?
my plan is to get to the roof of my apartment building. That's my plan. Get to the roof and stock up there. Get everything I can, stock up on the roof, and then figure it out from there.
Your
That's my
plan
plan.
is to just make a plan later.
Yeah. No, I remember my buddy, he used to brag about having his little go bag. He would tell me like, "Yeah, I got this weapon in here, I got these MREs, I got this, and I got that." He's got this like full-blown go bag, so if he ever like had to like crap hits the fan and he's got a split, he's got a big bag, and he's like, "You should make one, bro. You never know what's gonna happen. You should make a go bag." I said, "Dude, I don't need a go bag." He said, "Yeah, you do, bro." He's like, "You never know. Apocalypse gonna happen. You gotta split town. You gotta have food. You gotta have supplies." I said, "Dude." I said, "You have just told me that you have a bag and where it's located. I'm just going to come kill you and take your bag. I don't need to
Dang.
I don't need to make one myself."
Kevin's a great friend.
I'm awesome.
in the in the in the eyes of the apocalypse, Kevin's like, "Don't you worry, guys. It's not gonna be the zombies that'll get you. It's gonna
It's
be
me.
me."
Y'all are worried about zombies. I'm picking you off because I saw a jacket you were wearing that I liked.
Yeah,
I could have asked you for it or robbed you, but no. I'm going to take you out
but
and
no,
take your jacket.
I'm just one less zombie to worry about later.
Yes.
Uh, so yeah, I completely agree. I don't think video games, they might make us angry in the moment, but I don't think they make us violent. And I always thought it was funny that these people are like, "Oh, these video games are so violent. They're gonna make my kid want to beat up other kids." No, your kid probably wants to beat up other kids because you're a terrible parent and you don't discipline them. So it has
They're
nothing
not
to
ready
do
for
with
that
Crash
conversation.
Bandicoot.
They ain't ready for
That's
that one.
another theory for another time. What's your
Yeah.
number two, Kevin?
So my number 2 is that the megalodon shark still exists. So I did a bit of research on this one, and obviously there's like been many thing. The only evidence we have is unverifiable. So like that's what I'm saying, like there's no actual proof, but there is some anomalies or things that have happened that you're like, huh, like what is that? And not saying that I believe that it's still out there, but I do have full blown thalassophobia. I just want to express that now. Full blown thalassophobia. I don't mess with the ocean.
Wanna-
So I
You
hopefully will
want to
never
tell
be
people?
close enough that this matters.
You want to tell people what thalassophobia is?
I'm deeply afraid of open water, especially water where I can't see the like what's in it or underneath. Like if it's black water and you can't see, like you know how like if you're
Yeah.
like when you're in the water, if you're in the ocean, you can if you have goggles on, you look down, you can see a bit, but like then it gets black. That I don't
Yep.
do that. I don't do the
I have
water.
that.
I don't do ocean. I don't do it.
I have that fear as well. I'm like, nope. If I can't see the bottom, I ain't going in it.
I remember being a kid, I remember thinking, I just had the thought that what if a shark was in the pool? And then all of a sudden, every time I closed my eyes in the pool, I had like a mini heart attack. I'm like, a shark in the pool. Like it's like I remember having that. That's the
What if
origin
there
of
was a shark in the
thalassophobia.
pool?
That's just the thought I
That's the
had. No one
title.
said it. No one said it. Oh, what if there was a shark in the pool?
There's a shark in the pool.
Oh my god. Yeah, so that's
Uh,
I'm just
I can.
saying.
You were completely justified, my friend. I dated this girl one time. I listen. My three biggest fears: deep water, heights that I can die from. Like, I mean, if I fall off a ladder, I guess technically I could die from that, but I'm not as afraid as falling off a building or whatever.
Right.
And being forgotten. But when I went to the beach one time with this woman I was dating, she's like, "Let's go parasailing." What?
I'm gonna
What,
breeze
Kev?
past. I'm not gonna breeze past it. Like you went full, like you were like these totally real fears, and then you went totally existential at the last one.
Oh yeah. That's my
You were like,
biggest fear,
I'm
Kevin.
afraid of heights,
Don't.
I'm afraid of water, and being forgotten.
And then,
Okay, continue, bro.
'cause that's a whole
Continue.
nother. You know what? We'll have an episode of fears, and we'll get into that one. 'Cause
Oh God,
that
I'm
that
okay.
Kevin's like, never mind. I didn't bring up nothing. I don't. But yeah, no, we were on vacation at the beach, and she's like, "You want to go parasailing?" And I was like, "What's that?" And she's like, "Oh, they put you in the parachute and you go up above the water because you're pulled by a boat." And I was like, "So you're gonna put me 100 feet in the air above deep water? Why? It's like you don't even listen to me at all. It's two of my fears combined, and you want me to do that? No." I sat on the beach and she was up there. I was like, "No, well, if that rope breaks and you just go flying away, I guess I'll drive myself home." Boy, I
Mm.
tell you what.
Well, all that combined to say, we don't mess with the ocean. So hopefully this, even if the megalodon sharks does still exist, it ain't gonna bother me none. Uh, but I will say
Well,
I found some. Wait, go ahead.
that one, the megalodon's probably gonna have legs, and it'll just like Godzilla its way to the mainland.
Please stop talking. I will have a heart attack of fear. I don't
We'll
do
look
the
in your
ocean,
window
man. Or creatures in the ocean. My least favorite part of all Godzilla movies is the scenes where he's coming up out of the water.
because you're like, I could have been there. I could have been on that beach right now, and he's just trudging along like there's nothing.
He steps on me. I'm just dead.
You be
But
Godzilla's toe jam.
oh, it's gross. But I looked at many scenarios that were brought up. We were like, oh, we have this as a video, or this proves it, or this whatever. But the one that was most interesting to me, as far as like proof or whatever you want to call it, the evidence that there may be a megalodon shark still out there, is the Mariana Trench. Now, have you ever heard of the Mariana Trench?
Deepest part of the ocean.
Yeah, so it is
What do I win?
7 miles deep. 7
That's
miles. So
pretty
we're
deep.
looking at 37,000 feet roughly. And it's like I said, deepest part of the ocean. You could fit Mount Everest inside of this trench, and you could still have room to grow, more room. Like it's that deep, okay? And there was rumors a few years back. There was rumors that there was no creatures in this part of the ocean, okay? So these Japanese scientists decided they wanted to like verify this. They wanted to see what was out there. So they baited up a submarine and they kind of dropped it down there. Obviously, they weren't dumb enough to go in the submarine because they're intelligent. We're not going to talk about that, are we, fellas? That's another conspiracy for another day. But they
Yeah.
didn't do that. They baited up a submarine, dropped it down there, and some smaller sharks came to feed on what was on the submarine. And then out of nowhere in the video footage, all these small sharks are like feeding, not like a frenzy or anything, but they're just all feeding, and all of a sudden they all split. They all take off. And it's like they definitely made way for something, right? And then this giant shark slash fish swims by. And it's hard to tell the size of it from the video, but you could see the fin, and the fin had the same fin of like a great white, but much larger. And obviously, there's differences between a great white and a megalodon, but the megalodon would have these certain fin structures and have a lot of the same bodily structure as like a great white would, different skull shape and things like that, but very similar in structure and the way it's built. And this one of the only things that kind of falls in line with that. And it's the part I think that's so interesting is that because we have no idea what's down there, bro. It's 7 miles underwater. That's about 7 miles deeper than you'll ever catch me. Okay, that's
Yeah.
like when you think about 7 miles. I want you to think about this because when you say 7 miles, like you think a run to the store and back. That doesn't feel that far, but 7 miles, dude, is a long way.
It is.
When you consider the fact that 8 feet is deeper than me. 8 feet and I'm uncomfortable in the ocean.
Yeah.
At 8 feet, I'm uncomfortable. I'm like, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna get a little closer to the shore. And this
There's
is
some things that can be
37,000
living
feet.
there. Yeah, no.
So yeah,
And
and
that's
then
like you said it's a trip to the store. Yeah, I mean, it may not seem that long, but you're thinking 7 miles. If you were just get on a road and look straight, just go straight for 7 miles, like no turns, no nothing. That is that, and then you're gonna take that road and you're gonna point it straight down to the bottom of the ocean. I'll pass. Pass. No. Mm-mm.
I
I'm
don't
with you.
I
If
don't
it's
know
not,
where my fear of the ocean comes from. I, I like for some reason when I was a kid I used to be a little bit more fearless. I wouldn't mind getting in the deeper part of the water like above my head. Last time I went to the beach, I remember getting in the water and was up to my chest and was very uncomfortable, but it was like still having fun with my family that was there. And I remember this small group of fish. They were like little fish, but there was like enough of them that like they were making the top of the water look like ripply. You could tell it was fish, right? And they were swimming around. I was like, oh, that's cool. And all of a sudden they started moving very quickly. And then they jumped out of the water and they kept going. And I was like, you know, fish don't just do that.
no,
They were getting chased by something. And I'm in here like in 5 feet of water right now. 4.5 feet of water. I'm getting out of the water. And I've seen people out there fishing. There's people out there fishing in the similar part of the ocean that we were pretty close by. And I remember one of them reeled in a baby hammerhead. And I'm just like, dude, nope.
You're like, hey, that could have been me.
Nope. Just nope. That's all I got to say to that. So anyway, yeah, that's my number 2, Megalodon shark. Probably still out there. I don't know what else out there. We know more about space, the infinite space, than we do about the ocean. Apparently, we've only explored like what 5% of the ocean or something like that, which is insane.
Well, to be fair, we just talked about reasons why we wouldn't, so I don't blame them for not going.
Well, they go 2 miles deep and they all die. Can you imagine what happened at 7? Okay.
Well, I watched a TikTok the other day, and he was talking about there's a place in the ocean where like certain types of fish that will grow to their environment,
Hmm.
and if they're living in a certain part of the ocean, they can't grow that much because of the pressure. Well, there's a part of the ocean that is so deep that that pressure doesn't exist. And so theoretically these fish could grow exponentially and just keep going.
Hmm.
And how's that tickle your fancy, Kevin?
Nope.
Yeah, don't when I watched it, I was like, nope, swipe, swipe. I want to see
I,
this no more.
I always see the scary stuff at night on TikTok, and I think the algorithm's set up to be that way because it's more interesting at night, right? You more
It
the
is.
scary stuff is not really that scary at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of the workday. Like it's not that scary, but like at 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night when you're scrolling on TikTok trying to go to bed and you're like, oh my God, creepy pasta, what? And like, or oh my God, crazy sea facts, what? Like it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Uh,
I feel safe right now being many, many miles from the ocean and from the beach and just from water in general. Like I'm not not about. I would
He's
be
like, don't
scared
turn
to
on
go
my
to the.
bathtub.
I'd be scared to go to the lake. Like sometimes, like yeah, I've heard stories about a lake that I live close to where there was a World War II plane that supposedly crashed in that lake, and I remember hearing that these divers at one point had gone down there to the bottom of this lake to investigate the crash, and it's been years and years, so there's probably like no debris left of the bodies that were in the plane or anything. But they went down there and they came back out really quickly because they said, and I quote, they saw minivan-sized catfish. Now, how realistic that is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about catfish to say that that's realistic or not. But I do tell you this: if they came out of the water super quick and they weren't in a hurry to go back down there because they saw minivan-sized catfish. That's a no.
uh,
That's a
yeah,
no. What?
I
No.
don't know. If it's big enough to swallow me, I'm good.
If it's big
I'll
enough to
pass.
bite me, I'm like, I'm good.
Kevin doesn't like minnows either.
Not a fan, to be honest, but that's neither here nor there. Would you
Understandable.
stop being such a pain in the butt, you stupid camera? I hate it.
We're gonna go to my number one here. And
Please.
this one's probably my favorite one because I kind of hope it's true, even though there's a very slim possibility of it being true. But it is that Keanu Reeves is immortal.
Keanu Reeves is immortal. Okay.
Yeah, because they have all these pictures and stuff from like 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, of all these pictures that look just like Keanu, and even he's like, "Wow, these look a lot like me," and I'm just like, yeah, I could see that. I kind of hope that that's true because Keanu is one of the best people in the world.
Yeah.
He's got genuine kindness. He's got he's humble. He's modest. He is just a genuine person to be around. Like he's just here to make
Mhm.
people happy, and I think that comes from a very long life of gaining wisdom and realizing, maybe there's much more to this life than just being rich or a butthole or whatever the case may be. So a part of me hopes that he is actually immortal and that my, you know, ancestors knew him and fist bumped him every now and then because that'd be kind of dope.
That's a pretty cool theory, but is there any evidence for this other than the pictures?
No.
It's a nice thought, though. I do agree. It's a nice
Yeah,
thought.
it is a nice thought. Like it's something that you're. I mean, I think there is some things like there's a little bit more evidence. Um, just because this has been like a long standing thing
Hmm.
that Keanu's or either that he's a time traveler, which
Yeah.
honestly I could see that too. Um, but I just think it's a fun little thing because there's a bunch of celebrity ones where like they're like, oh, this celebrity's been dead for 15 years and they've had a doppelganger this whole time and we never knew and blah blah blah. Or Elvis isn't really dead, or Tupac's living on the beach somewhere with Britney Spears of double or something. I
Yeah,
don't know, but
I'm with you.
this is one of my favorite, I think, celebrity conspiracy. And like I said, he's been interviewed about it, and he's not like, I really wish you guys would stop doing this. Instead, he just kind of like plays into it. He's like, well, sure, I don't see why I couldn't be. And it just
Of
kind
course
of
he
gives it a
says
little
that.
bit more. It just gives it a little bit more like, well, hold on now, Keanu. What are you saying?
What do
Are
you
you
mean?
confirming? And he's like, I don't know. I gotta go, guys.
He is one of my favorite celebrities. Sometimes he's just like you never see a bad side of Keanu for some reason.
No, like I've never seen a headline where it's like Keanu Reeves is a butthead.
I've never. I mean, I'm sure there's something, but like nobody's perfect. But I mean, honestly, he's one of the people you see the fewest negative things about for sure. So I think
Yeah,
that's a cool
and
one. I agree. That's a cool one for sure.
oh, yeah. And what's yours? What's your last one?
So my number one, like I said, we're running out of time, so I'm gonna wrap this one up quick. But I will say that, like I said, I'm a huge conspiracy theory nut. That's why I came up with the idea for this episode. And it's like, honestly, this doing a little bit of research I did for this episode is what kind of gave me more amp and like juice to look into more conspiracy theories. So thank you, podcast, for taking away time for me. But I will say that this isn't even really a conspiracy theory. It's more of a mystery unsolved. But there's a lot of theories about what happened, conspiracy theories and things that aliens or whatever. But the this is what originally got me into this kind of stuff. Like this topic really is the lost colony of Roanoke, which would be
Oh,
the
that's
colony,
a good
which
one.
the lost colony of Roanoke. Technically, that's in North Carolina, and what is North Carolina now? But this took place between 1587 to 1590. The governor John White docks in, I don't know all the details of the story, but I know he docks there, sets up camp basically with these settlers, and he gives them all these supplies, and he tells them if there's an emergency, if there's a problem, he said leave an X on a tree so I'll know, or a cross on a tree so I'll know, and then he leaves. He's supposed to come back soon, but due to illnesses and other things that were happening and things like that, because we were looking at over 100 colonists in this colony, okay, and they're probably having kids and growing, right, and they're supposed to be building a structure at this colony, like this village is supposed to be growing and getting bigger. He leaves. He doesn't return until 1590. He does not come back till 1590 due to unforeseen circumstances. He gets back. They're gone. They're just gone, and there's debris. Their stuff has been looted. There's guns and weapons on the ground, but there's no sign of anybody. No bodies, no debris of a physical kind of person, like nothing like that. And there's no now there was no cross marked on a tree, but there was two trees marked. There was one marked CRO, and then another one marked Croaton, which is Croatan, which was a tribe of the Indians. So one of the main theories is that they either were killed by the Croatans and their bodies taken, or that they kind of joined up with the Croatans when they ran out of supplies, and that they abandoned that village and kind of left to go join the Croatans, and they John did not have the time to go verify this. He had other things going on and things like that, so he couldn't do a track down the Croatans to verify. So there's no proof or knowledge of what happened. This is the logical thing that people say, but obviously a situation like this calls for all kinds of conspiracy theories. And people saying, "Oh, aliens came by and abducted them all."
Yep, just
but
took them all.
but yeah, this is like one of those topics this is one of the things that first got me interested in this kind of topic. I'm like, oh man, I wonder what happened. Like that's so crazy. How does a whole village just disappear?
Just a beer.
Oh, that's not a Coke, guys. That's me just.
I'm glad, even though you're a Pepsi guy, you betrayer.
Yeah. Today I'm a Mr. Pibb guy. But
That's fair. Yeah, because I mean, I don't. If I've heard a little bit about that, but I don't think they're like there was no graves or anything, so it's just kind of
nothing.
like
No
you
sign
can't.
of any of them.
and I think that's the part that really
Because you
pushes
would
it
think
into
if there was
conspiracy theory.
there was treasure and like things that would have been valuable that were left behind. So you would have thought that if they went to war and they were killed, that for one there'd be bodies, and for two they would have been looted. So logic says that that's not what happened. Because if they would have been, the weapons wouldn't have been left behind, whether that be melee or firearms, and the goods wouldn't have been left behind. All that's left behind, all kind of spread out, debris everywhere. But not a single body, not a trace. Nothing. Just an abandoned village. Where did they go?
My, mm, now. They were taken by cannibals.
Wrong
That's what
turn
happened.
3.
Yep.
The village,
The
the lost colony of
pre-sequel.
Roanoke. No, that's what they are. They're the guys.
The first Thanksgiving.
Bro. Messed up that you did that.
But
Well,
yeah, I don't know where they went, Kevin, but I know where we're going
to the positive
off
note.
it. To the positive note. Do you want to do it? Do you actually have something, or do you want me
I'll
to
be
say it?
honest, man.
I've already.
I don't have a positive note. I'm about to throw this camera off the side of
That is not a
me.
positive note, Kevin.
No, well, let's let you do the positive note this week.
All right. All right. Conspiracy theories, fears, whatever it is you may believe in, as long as you believe in one thing, and that's yourself. Never talk down to yourself. Never say that you can or cannot do this unless it's against the law. And
Of course.
just give yourself enough credit, because in this day and age, we're all just trying to survive. And so if you feel like you're not succeeding, there's a good chance that you are.
There's also still a good chance that you're not, though. So keep trying, keep putting the effort in.
Positive note and the downside.
Slam dunk. Like a
All right,
majestic
well,
alley oop.
majestic alley oop. I don't know which one of us is jumping, Kevin, because neither one of us can get that high.
Nope, not a one.
Nope.
Well, I've enjoyed talking about this. Hopefully, see you guys in the next
Yeah.
episode.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed it, join us next time. If you didn't, show somebody that might.
Do that.
All right, y'all have a good night.
See you guys.